but then to find your partner, and you don't really think that. My mom's in her 50s, and it's like, I found my partner. This is my person, right? And they get along so great and all that stuff. So it's really cool.
Man, that's awesome. I'm really glad to hear that. And everything's going pretty good with you, because I know I want you to talk more about Wrapped in Smoke.
Yeah. So I'm still trying to decide what Wrapped in Smoke is, but I kind of got a good idea of where it's going to go.
I mean, last time we was at Fine Ass, for your birthday, you had the head wraps, cigars,
and it was dope. And I think that's what it's going to be. That's where we're going to go with it.
Okay.
So I haven't started a head wrap line. I've been a brand ambassador for you.
Oh, okay, wait.
Okay.
Did you need me to do something like that? No. So update, make sure everything looks right. Okay.
I'm pretty sure we're gonna do that too. I think that's gonna be my birthday penny.
Okay. All right. Just check around that day real quick. Last thing. Real quick.
Yeah. Like,
go.
Show you what I'm trying. I'm just trying to
You know what? Fuck it. We're gonna go like this. Okay. All right. So got everything set up. We are streaming to the YouTube here. We are live and still here at Big Sticks in Mesa, Arizona for our cigar tour. This is the Smoke and Sip Tobacco Talk with Jamel D. Hill. Frederick, right? Frederick, excuse me. And Thurston is me. Obviously, I didn't get the names right. But here's and today we're doing our book review here of Sex Magic by Mona Cohen, right?
Sharon.
Mona Sharon.
Yeah.
Sharon here. How feminists lost touch with love, science, society, I believe.
Yeah, love, science, and common sense. Released in 2018.
2018. So that was our book for the month. When you hear about feminism, what comes to mind?
When I think about feminism, so of course it's empowering women and being an advocate for women. But like a lot of people, it brings to mind for me extremism. It's just like, yes, empower women and women should have the same rights and all that. But then just the term feminism makes me think of like really extreme viewpoints.
Right.
So as a woman, of course I'm a woman, I want women to have equal rights and all of that, but not on an extreme level, like I don't get men and all that kind of stuff. That's whoa. Like, chill out. Let's not go that far with it.
Right.
But that is something that comes to mind when I think of the word. If you can support women and empower women and encourage women without being so extreme with it.
Right. Yeah. It's when you ask that question, that brought to mind what she had in the book. Out the gate, and this was just an introduction.
Yeah.
The book is powerful, itself, but just what she spoke about in the introduction, was really she gave you the meat and potatoes of what you really get into.
Right.
And one of the things that came out the gate in the intro, but she said that in my notes here, it said that she says that the modern feminist agenda has become a piety
which has to do with, you know, being religious and reverent, and or have in another meaning, you know, is beliefs and everything is, you know, become more of a cult in some aspects, and it's viewed or accepted as, you know, people doing things unthinkingly, you know, in conventional reverence towards that. So a question that I would ask is, has the feminist, you know, movement actually become one about devotion and obedience? You know, when you say, you know, it's like, oh, it's really extreme and everything, because that's pretty much what a lot of feminists have been in the forefront, you know, really extreme, you know, and kind of cutting out the whole family thing and saying that family life is more of a prison for women. You know, these are some of the things that's hidden in the book. You know, so when saying that about feminism, about the feminist movement, you know, have you seen it somewhat like a cult, or seen it, you know, become where it's like, you know, you need to obey, you need to pay reverence, you know, our foremothers of, you know, feminists and they did this and they marched and they, you know.
I think that you see that in like a lot of movements, right? Where it's our way or no way. And it's like, it doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't have to be this idea or nothing. And so yes, you do see kind of almost like a cult, like, well, I'm a feminist, and so I believe that it has to be this way. And if you want to have a family and, you know, stay at home, then you're backwards, or have a prison mindset, you know, depression mindset, right? It's like, I don't. Like, I'm happy to have a family. I'm happy to have children. I would much rather be home raising my children than having to leave and go to work every day.
Good to see
personally. And I know there's some women that are not for that, and that's okay. And I think for my take on it is like, it's okay if that's what you want to do, but everybody doesn't have to do that. And it's, like I said, with a lot of movements, it's not just that movement. It's all of the different.
There really is.
You get into I don't want to derail and all that, but when you get into the LGBTQ,
derail,
and all of that, it's like, you know, with the pronouns and all of that. You identify as whatever you identify as, and that's fine, and I respect it. But you don't have to force all of that on me. Same thing with the feminist movement. Yes, I absolutely support women. I absolutely support
down for the equality,
empowerment, equality, and all of that. But I want to stay home with my kids. I want to raise my kids. My kids are dope because I got to spend so much time with them at home before I went back to work. Because I really took that time to instill these values in them. Right. So the discipline, I didn't have to do a whole lot of discipline with them because I just raised them right. I spent time with them. Somebody else didn't raise my kids for me. I didn't pay a person to raise my kids. And if that's what you want to do, that's fine. I'm not judging you for that. I'm saying for me personally and my children, that's what I like. And that's what I did. Right. And so I think that, like I said, with all the different movements there are, feminism included, it doesn't have to be one strict way. It's, hey, let's support women. Let's empower women. Let's make sure that there are equal rights for women. But if you as a woman want to live your life like this or like that, everybody is still a woman and should be supported.
Yeah, I laughed a little bit. Got the rolling carts. You saw the red light on. So I laughed when you were, you know, when you're giving that answer, because it's like pretty much everything that you're saying. You nearly hit so many different topics and angles that Mona Sharon hit in this book. It's one of the things that she hit and she spoke on or wrote about is an issue that women have in careers and having the top jobs, right? That the high demanding positions, there's no way that in an all-consuming profession, a woman cannot devote as much time and energy as a man can. The top jobs in America, right? And the economy in this American economy require tremendous effort and time. So, you know, so does raising children, right? So something has to give, right? So either you got the top profession or the top job, or you're going to be, you know, the mother that's raising her kids and not, all right, you know, or you know, you're going to pay someone, and one of the elements in the book that she even talked about was her emotional experience when the nanny came.
Mm-hmm. And the baby was all excited.
Exactly. Was like
right.
super exciting
like,
when the nanny came, but it's like, wait, I'm your mother.
Right.
I was
you
just
see me
here.
and you feeling like,
yeah,
whatever.
Yeah.
But then the nanny comes and you're all excited. Like, wait a minute now.
And then she, she later, pointed out also that, she does have children that they adopted.
Right.
So that also plays a part. But you were with me for the majority of the part in your infancy, even though I adopted you.
Right.
But this nanny comes who's here part-time, and you just light up, like somebody just turned on the juice, So with that, knowing that something has to give, is that a statement that is anti-motherhood, or is it more realistic?
I agree with her in that it is realistic. Like it's not saying if you want to have this top job, you can't be a mother. You can, right? You just have to understand that there's a balance, and there's something you're gonna have to give a little more to one thing or other, right? It's not gonna be 50-50. It's not gonna be even playing field. You have this really demanding job that requires all of these hours and all this time. Then you're taking that time away from your kids, and vice versa.
Right.
My kids are in a whole bunch of stuff, right? My kids do. They're in band now, which is super, super time consuming, right? They're in high school. They both are in band. Band is everything. They go to school, you know what I mean? And then they go to band and they stay at band until 9 o'clock at night. And they come home, do homework, eat something and go to sleep, and get up in the morning, go to school, go to band, And so it takes a lot of time. I'm, going to rehearsals, we're going to events, we're going to all this stuff. It takes a lot of time.
Going to the competition, traveling to different events.
All these things.
Yeah.
And so for me, personally, I'm not going to take a job that is going to take so much time that I can't go to my kids' stuff. Right. When I was in band, my parents were busy. My parents are really young, and so they were working. They were doing all their stuff. They weren't coming to my stuff. I quit band because my parents wouldn't come to my stuff. Right. And so then, it didn't hurt them. It hurt me later. I was like, dang, I should have. How many black girls, play the French horn, And I played it for years, and then just was like, nobody cares that I'm doing this. I'm not doing it anymore.
Yeah.
And I didn't want that for my kids. My son plays percussion. My daughter's in color guard. If that's what you want to do, I want to support that. And if that means that I can't work 12 hours a day, I'm not working 12 hours a day. I need to be able to go to my kids' stuff.
So it's making that sacrifice, for something that you believe more in. It's more important. I know it's important to you, so it's going to be important to me. So that's
okay. And for women who are the other way, right? For women who are like, I want to be this high-powered lawyer. I want to be this amazing doctor and save these lives. We need that. We need these people. We need doctors to save people's lives. We need them to find cures for things. We need all of that. And so, kudos to them too for making that sacrifice, because it is a big sacrifice. You're missing out on some really dope stuff for the greater good of society, right? And so it's not wrong. And I think that that's where we have such a hard time, I think, with the feminist movement is you have to pick a side. Don't have to pick a side, and if you do pick a side, it's okay. Whichever side you choose, it's okay.
I think for me, from going through this book, it was more for like an independent mindset. For me, it's like it talks about, going to school and getting education and getting your own money, doing all these things. But the turning point for me was like, okay, but what about when you want to have a family?
Right.
What does it look like to have a family? And how do you balance your time between a job and a child? And so that's what I was really looking for, because the whole reason I brought this up is someone told me that I was a chauvinist for some of my ideologies and what I think and stuff like that. And I was like, what do you mean? So, and I asked them their viewpoint. It was like, well, I'm pro-woman. Okay. I was like, okay, well, let me look this up. I don't think it's something else. So I did my research, and it's like, kind of along the lines of a feminist, because you kind of come off as an extremist.
Okay.
Saying like, we need this, we need that, we need this. And it's like, I'm looking around, and it's like, well, a lot of women kind of got that. at this point, and they talked about the gender gap. So my point is like, hey, there's something wrong going on. Let's see what it is, and I'll go with you, because wrong is wrong and right is right.
Right.
And so, but some of the points that were being made, they didn't really have any concrete evidence of. It's like it's gender gap, gender wages, or what jobs?
Yeah.
What's the percentage?
Yeah.
Where are these jobs?
Where's the data?
Where's the actual data?
Right.
And so a lot of times when I ask these questions, like, well, what industries are you talking about when you say gender gap? They don't even know. So
that's a problem that I have too. Is you're taking the stand. You're super hell bent on it needs to be this way, it needs to be that way, but then you don't have anything to back it up.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so I'm not to say that that's not
true,
happening.
But how is your foundation built? How can you stand on it? You got to have something. Right.
And I don't have the data. I don't know.
Right.
I hear a lot of, women in these industries or those industries or whatever are not making the same as their male counterparts and things like that. And it's effed up, right? But I don't know the exact numbers and all of that. I'm not saying that it's not true. It probably is true. But if that's your argument, then just have that data and be able to stand on your argument. And trying to fix that doesn't mean that you have to take away from something else. It doesn't mean that.
Can you say that one more time?
You know what I mean? Like,
people in back that are hard of hearing. Say that one more time, please.
Supporting this doesn't mean you have to take away from that. It doesn't mean that, hey, I want to fix the gender gap, the wage gap or whatever, means that you can't have a family, that you can't, or that it's wrong for you to want to be a stay-at-home mom. That's not the case. It's women who choose to live that life. Yes, they should be compensated equally to their male counterparts. If we work the same job, we both engineers, we doing the same thing every day, we work the same hours every day, we should make the same money, right? It shouldn't be I get, $20,000 less a year because I'm a woman. That's ridiculous.
Right.
We should make the same money if we're doing the same job.
If it's the same job, required the same skills, required the same amount of schooling, required the same amount of continuing education units and things like that. Yeah.
7,000% agree with that. Yes, absolutely. I'm all for that. I'm an advocate for that. Yes.
Yeah.
Does that mean that I look down on somebody who doesn't want to do that and somebody who chooses, I don't want to go and work?
And that's good that you said that. That's good that you said that, because in the book, and I remember we had a conversation a while back, and Thurston, I believe you brought this up or mentioned, that equity, being an equity, people talk about being an equity feminist. And she touched on that in the book. And she, where she says that on the surface, we all are equity feminists, just like what you were saying. Like if we're engineers in the same department, doing the same job, or we own, the manufacturing line or assembly line, if you got to turn 2 screws to the left, I got to turn 2 screws to the left, we should get the same pay, and what she said, that, with all equity feminists, the meaning is that as humans, we want and believe in equal rights, equal human dignity, but with the feminist agenda, is strongly forcing androgynous society, to emerge, neither being masculine or feminine, in gender characteristics, and to be neither male or female. You can't have a specific, even though scientifically and through nature, through natural biology, there is a specific, but the feminist movement is pushing towards that androgynous, mindset, and it's going into pushing towards the possession, of having both sex traits, as in being the sameness, but that's in the mentality. Like, even though you're a man, but you can't be a man, you can't think like a man, you can't act like a man, you have to, you're a man, but you have to be shameful that you're a man, and be more feminine, be more female-like, so, to me, it's kind of like forcing girls to stay in a tomboy phase and to keep boys emasculate and effeminate, instead of, letting their natural course,
Right.
you let them, go their natural course, whereas nature will take over. Yeah, you're gonna go through your tomboy phase. You want to be, this, you're gonna be rough and tumble, especially if your environment, dictates that.
Right.
If you one girl and you grew up and you got 6 or 7 brothers, how you gonna act?
Right.
You sooner or later, you're gonna have the
You gonna
Barbie
be a little
dolls and this and that, but you're gonna be tough.
Right.
You're gonna know how to throw a jab.
Right.
You're gonna know how to defend yourself. You already know that, with 6 brothers, you already know you got protection and help, but
Right.
you also know and understand that sometimes I gotta do things on my own. Sometimes I gotta stand on my own and deal with it. I gotta be accountable. I gotta handle this. You know what I'm saying? So, just for me, instead of that, the feminist agenda, pushing that, pushing people to not be okay with, being genderized,
Right.
And it's just, I don't know, it's just weird.
I think we
support
see
it
it a lot.
equity, I'm down for equity,
Right.
in human,
100%.
all in human nature, but let's keep that same energy when we talk about, we want equity all across the board. And when Thurston was asked about, what industries, where the women loggers at? Where the women, roofers, and where the women, in certain dangerous, industries and whatnot, where the women in hazmat, not just in the labs, with the white coats on, but where the women in hazmat dealing with the materials, delivering the materials, you know what I'm saying? So,
and I'm sure there are some, but and again, to the equity point, right? If they want to do that, making sure they're being compensated the same. Right, they're putting their lives on the line the exact same, right? 100% agree with that.
So,
Go ahead.
So for the requirements, so say for the hazmat and for these jobs, and they want equality. Now, how do you have fairness in that? Where a lot of these things that you're lifting, let's say one of the candidates maybe it's 5'2", 100, 140 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
This requires you some heavy lifting.
Mm-hmm.
Jamel here can do the heavy lifting, and you apply like, hey man, I'm here too, got the same title, but why does he get, some more than me? Is that fair that if you can't do some of the duties for the job, get paid the same?
I think that if you can't do the duties of the job, then how did you get the job in the first place, right? Like when you apply for a job, interview for a job, there's certain criteria that you have to meet. Right. And so I don't just give me a job just because I'm a girl. Right. Give me a job because I can do the job.
Right.
Right. And pay me as such. Right. If I can't, I'm not trying to be no logger because I'm not lifting no logs. Right. I don't want to. I'm not going to. I can't. Right. I lift a cigar, but I'm not lifting no log. Right. So for me, I'm not even going to apply for a job like that. It's not anything that's interesting to me. If you want to be a logger, you should be able to do the logger job and then get paid like that, right? So with the, hey, women should be able to be loggers too. Yeah, they should be able to be that. And they should be able to do that job, right? Without having to have ridiculous accommodations. I get it. We have people with disabilities. We have people with all kinds of things, and they do similar jobs and they have accommodations for that. I get that. But like, if you can't do it, then why are you even in this position? And vice versa, right? Anything that a woman does that a man wants to do too, right? I can't think of some job that only women do, because there really aren't jobs that just only one gender can do. Everybody can do the thing, but you just have to be able to do that thing.
Right.
So yeah, you should be compensated for it if you can do the job. If you can't do that job, then why are you even in that job? And if you're not doing the exact same thing, your job is slightly different. Hey, you're a logger, but you don't lift the logs, you just cut the logs or whatever. Maybe there's a different compensation for that. I don't know. I don't know anymore. But if there is a different compensation for that, it's because of the job requirements and skill set, not because of your gender.
And then also talks about too, with fairness, you got to think about time spent on the job. Even though you were a VP and he a VP, what if you worked your rankings up through the job and he already worked at a couple of VP positions and has that experience. Now, should we accommodate and be like, well, we do have the same title, but with the experience, definitely this person has more experience. So the thing that was interesting to me is like, how do you determine what's fair? in that scenario. And it's talked about the gender gap usually comes when you go upper management positions, and it's like, but on the entry level, everyone's pretty much paid the same.
Right.
But as you go to those upper management levels, that's when it's like, they said that it's a couple of cents to the dollar on some positions, but with the demand of the job, it does demand you to be there 40 hours, 50 hours traveling away from the kids. And then so if you are a female in that position, sometimes you don't want to be away from your children.
Right.
You don't want to be missing that time. Which some women do, which is how what they want to do. But the thing is, with the movement that I'm seeing, it's not taking the kids into consideration.
Right. Well, I mean, I don't think that most jobs take your family into consideration. Nobody takes your family into consideration. This is what the job is. Do you want to do it? Yes or no? You work all your other personal stuff out, right? So I think what the idea is I have 10 years experience, you have 2 years experience, but you make more than me because you're a man and you can lift heavier stuff. But wait a minute now. Hold on now. And I think that's where the idea came in. And then it kind of gets lost in the sauce when it's, hey, we have very similar backgrounds. We have very similar experience or whatever. And then there's a crazy gap, right? I think that's what the idea of the gender gap is. Now, whether or not each company is going to be different, right? So for me, if I'm hiring, I got 2 candidates here. I'm not looking at their gender at all. I'm saying this person has 2 years experience. This person has 10 years experience. I want them both. I'm going to take them both. I'm going to pay the 10-year person a little bit more because you've done more. You know more. I can get more out of you, right? Whether you're male or female, right? But if I got 2 people that have 10 years experience, their pay should be real similar, real close. You have the same education, you have the same experience. Yeah, your pay should be real similar, if not the same.
Right.
It's when your experience, what you bring to the table, what your assets are different. And I think that the thought behind it, the idea is, if I have more than you, I shouldn't be making less than you. If I've got more experience, I've got more education,
I've got more skills and more talent.
Right. Then no, I shouldn't be making more than you. And there are situations where that happens. And so, yeah, that's where a problem is. But the problem isn't just, well, I'm a woman and so I want to make more money because I'm a woman and doing something similar. No, if you don't have the experience, you don't have the same talent, you're not going to make the same money. But don't offer me less or give me less just because I'm a woman. I think that's where, again, we get kind of lost in the sauce.
And another point she talked about too as well, that men, by natural biology, are more risk takers.
Yeah,
take more risks. And so when it comes to jobs, they're more prone to negotiate the wage.
Okay.
Where we would just be like, okay, that's the wage. All right. Some I know there's some that like I negotiate, I do my own facts, but they're saying that with the statistics that more women are prone to taking the job and not negotiating the pay. They take the pay.
And then that, having worked in workforce development and all that, a lot of that is just knowing and understanding how to do that, right? So they don't teach that in schools anymore. They don't teach that, hey, don't just take what they give you. Look, get what you worth, right? And teaching that. And that's for, again, men and women.
Right.
Teaching those negotiation skills. I have this much experience. I've done this and that. I have this education. No, I'm not taking whatever, you offer me 50 grand to do this job. Well, most people that do this job, they make 80, right? Don't offer me 50 when I have $80,000 worth of experience, right? But being able to say that and stand up for yourself and speak up for yourself. I don't think that that's just a women thing. I think that that's a people thing. I think that men are more willing to say, no, I want more. But teaching youth in general how to advocate for yourself.
Right.
Stand up for yourself. You know what you did. You went to school for all this long time. You got all these degrees. You have all this experience. You've done all this stuff. Advocate for yourself and stand on that. Be willing to walk away from an offer.
Right.
Listen, you're not paying me what I'm worth. I don't have to just take what you give me.
Right. Which is teaching, having that natural competitiveness.
Yeah.
That's the only way you really are going to get ahead in many different things.
Right.
That's right. corner table over there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
I think as a society in general, if we are teaching our youth to know and understand their worth, right? To know and understand how to negotiate their pay, right? Then it doesn't get to be a gender thing. It gets to be I'm a person with this education and with this experience, and it's worth this. But yeah, I don't want you to pay me $100,000 just because I'm a girl. Because now I gotta fight with everybody around me. Oh, she getting this because she's a woman and all that. I don't want to have to deal with all that. I want you to pay me what I'm worth and what my education and experience qualifies for.
You know, with that part of what you were saying, you know, Thurston, with, you know, fairness and all of that, you know, she made a great point in the book when she said that equality doesn't equate to sameness, you know, and that the modern, you know, feminist disparages women's preferences, you know, which is what you were saying earlier. Hey, if that's what you want to do, cool. Right. But if something's wrong, like you say, wrong is wrong, right is right, no matter who does it, right? No matter who says it, a lie is a lie. The truth is the truth, you know, but don't disparage my preferences. You know, but when it comes down to, we need to fix that. Yeah, we should get paid the same if I can meet the requirements to do the job, or if I can speak and present, you know, then I should be able to stand before a crowd. I should be able to do this. You know, if I studied law, then I should be able to, you know, be in the courtroom. I passed the bar, you know. So, you know, it's those things that, you know, has to be looked at and shouldn't be. In a movement, there shouldn't be anything that's like totalitarianism, you know, where it's, you know, regimenting or managing people instead of understanding people and allowing, you know, people to actually dictate their lives and say what they will and won't, or what they could and don't, you know, instead of just taking it like this is this and you're going to do this and you're going to follow this. You know, everybody got enough of that from having families that operated like that, you know. So when you're an adult in the real world, you know, and you got certain types of freedoms, you know, you want to explore and express those types of freedoms, you know, and you don't want to join another movement that's like, oh, damn, this is like being with my abusive father. This is like being around my abusive mom, or this is, you know what I'm saying? Because you're trying to get away from that. You're trying to really explore and be yourself, you know? So, yeah, no, she made a great point with that, you know, and I really felt that when she said equality doesn't equate to sameness, you know?
And I think that we lose a lot, or we forget, right? Light and dark, male and female, right? Everything has a counterpart, right? I don't want to be a man. I don't want to do what men do, right? I'm not a man. I'm a woman. I'm okay with being a woman and all that comes with that, right? And so, and understanding that you have to have a male and a female to make things work, right? Exactly. There's a, you know, the nuts and bolts and all, right? They have the male part and the female part so that it fits together, right? So I don't want to, like you were talking about the androgyny and all of that. I don't want to be the same as a man, and I shouldn't have to be equal to a man. I shouldn't have to do exactly what you do, and I bring something else to the table to make this puzzle fit.
Right. And that's you, and what you said really fits with her standpoint in this book.
I agree with a lot of
that be happy, accept your nature, and play to your strengths.
Yes. Because when you're trying to just be something else, right? I can do the same thing you do. I can be a lover too. I want to pick up these big. Why though?
Play to your strengths. Play to your strengths.
I can think about a way or create a process that's going to make it easier, so you don't have to be picking up these big ass logs and breaking your back. Right? Let me put together a process. You can pick up those logs if you want to. I'm going to create a process where you don't have to do that. Make this easier for us.
That part.
Right?
That part.
So one thing that sticks out to me with this thing, seeing how the feminist movement was, you know, the co-founders are predominantly white, and you know, they kind of just infiltrated the Black culture. So does the feminists work against Black culture or with Black culture with their viewpoints?
I'm glad you asked that, because I want to hear from a woman's view.
I don't know that it is intentional, I think it does kind of work against, just because, like, when you look at the Black community now, right? You got all these single moms, a lot of single moms, not all, right? Try not to be too general here.
Some are single by choice.
Some are single by
by circumstance that, you know, they had no control.
Right. But now as a single mom, right, because I can go to work and I can go get these jobs and work all these long hours, now I have to, right? Now because I don't need men and I could do this on my own and all that kind of stuff. Now I don't have a partner, right? I don't have somebody to help me with this, and I have to go and do all this hard work, and my kids are raising themselves, or the nanny, or the after school program, or whatever.
Which takes the most important aspect, you know, one of the most important aspects away from the family that you're trying to, you know, keep as a cohesion, taking away the mother.
For the women who want to have those families, because again, not everybody wants that.
Right.
But for those that do, right, you want to have these kids, or you didn't want to have them, but you got them, or whatever, right? Now you have to be taken away because hey, you're a woman. You can do all this stuff on your own. Now a lot of men are like, look, hey, I don't have to stick it out with you. We don't have to be a team. You got it. You can do it. And I think a lot of that, I mean, not saying that the feminist movement is the whole reason that happened, but it did help.
Yeah, it did help. It did help. It did help.
You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know. I'm all about like working smarter and not harder. It's so much easier to raise a family and make money when you got a partner to help you. Yeah. You know, when you got a 2-income household as opposed to 1. Now I have to make some real hard choices. I have 1 income, I got to feed these kids. In order to feed these kids, I got to go to work. Now I got to go to work and I don't spend no time with these kids. They running rampant doing whatever they're doing. Right. So yeah, it makes
then those kids
hard.
Get hit with the who raised you?
Who raised you? Right.
So,
where your mama at? Nobody said where your daddy at. Where your mama at?
Yeah, everybody.
Right now it's your mama's fault.
Yeah. Now it's your
mama. Well, my mama's trying to feed me. My mama's out here trying to make this money because, you know, in our society now, women can do everything that men can do, and so they don't have to be at home, and men don't have to feel as obligated to stick it out. You know what? You on my nerves. You talk too much. You smoke cigars. I don't want to be with you no more. I'm out. Yeah, right? Or I'm gonna send you a check for these kids. Yeah. But that doesn't help to raise our family and to build the next generation. It doesn't. It's not advantageous for us. I don't think.
Yeah, she hit so many different things, you know. But one of the things that she did do with this book is she pointed out and talked about the great strides, you know, that the feminist movement has made, you know, with voting and credit and, you know, certain pay gaps in some industries, you know, not all, but there were certain ones with a lot of major accomplishments, especially in politics, you know, that was the thing, you know, and, you know, one of the things that I look at often and, you know, I get some flack, you know, when I say it this way, that, you know, you poked and prodded and pushed, you know, until you finally got a man to say, yes, we'll allow you to do this, you know, because that's pretty much what it was. You had to convince the controlling elite or those in power, you know, which mostly have been men, because a lot of things have been male dominant. And that was from, you know, a lot of that mentality, you know, out of the 40s and the 50s, which, you know, can go even back further. You know, a woman doesn't have this, a woman, you know, you're not smart enough, your brain isn't big enough, and things like that, you know. And a lot of that was just because of ignorance in science, you know, and information. So then as time, you know, went on and society progressed, now we have scientists that have done more research, we have more data, we have more information. Now we can correct that thinking. But the problem has arisen is that people don't want to let go because change is uncomfortable, you know. So you get a lot of those that, you know, women still need to do this, and women still need to, you know, without just realizing that, you know, why don't we look at the skill set? Why don't we look at, you know, the talent? Why don't we look at, you know, what's actually needed in order for us to make this thing work instead of just playing, you know, the gender role? So, you know, and it comes to mind video that Thurston had done. And one of the points that he brought up was, how do you really have the leader? If it's about money, who makes the most money? I mean, anybody can make money. Anybody can, like what you say in the video. You can work at Burger King. You earn an income.
Right.
If that's what's going to make us a leader. But we all know that true leadership comes from talent and a skill set, of leadership. Being able to think critically.
Right.
Then critically problem solve, then creative, do creative problem solving, so forth and so on. But this book, man, this author, she's just from reading this book, I'm gonna say on camera, she's actually become a new favorite female author. Right. With Sex Matters, How Modern Feminists Lost Touch with Science, Love, and Common Sense, published in 2018. In her other books, which I'm definitely going to dig into, Useful Idiots, How Liberals got it wrong in the Cold War and Still Blame America First. That was released in 2003. Then her other book, Do-Gooders, How Liberals Hurt Those They Claim to Help. Me being a major student and love, of Malcolm. Malcolm warned us about, the liberals, especially in the Black community, and, them coming with their, smiles and trinkets of, hey, we're going to do something for you. We got this for you. We're going to sprinkle a little, but he warned us, and he talked about, them in the same sense of being a fox, and that is when he, said, I'd rather be in the presence of a wolf, because a wolf going to tell you what it is, right. It's going to tell you what it ain't. He going to show you his teeth and let you know, I'm going to devour your ass. You make one mistake, you slip up, right. I got you, but the fox, that liberal, I'm coming through, I'm skinning and grinning, I'm smiling, I'm saying, hey, girl, hey, baby, how you mama there? Right. But at the same time, got a hidden agenda. Yeah. So yeah, she's become a very interesting author that I want to dig into, with her other books. And but this book, mind blowing. We haven't even really gotten into well, I think we just touched on the introduction. Maybe the first few chapters,
Usually, what, to me, it was kind of slow because going through the history, but when on the backside is really when it just started clicking, as far as just relationships and how relationships are formed and the best type of relationships.
Right.
When she just came with the data and the studies about relationships.
Because everything in the beginning of it actually started to make sense.
Right. Yeah, it started to make sense. And then how he talked about the Black community with the single family and then with the sons, and then the fact that, there isn't a man inside the household and a mom has to go to work, the kids are spending a lot of time in daycare. And since there's not a high-paying job, you're not really getting high-quality people.
That part right there
to watch, the precious joy that you have brought into this earth. Yeah. And then it goes over how, some boys, they, how they just fear for their father, and then that companionship with the female, how they're just missing something too as well. It lends to just loneliness. A lot of people are just missing that loneliness, but actually have an outline just to hear people talk. And they're averaging about 10,000 calls a week because it's missing that, that other part of a relationship, saying that. And so that was an interesting point to me. So to me, do you think that Black culture should abandon the name and come up with something else, or still be on the bandwagon with the feminist movement?
I think that we spend too much time trying to be part of a movement instead of just trying to do the right thing, right? I'm this or I'm that, or I believe this or that. When it's just, what's the right thing for you and your family? What's the right thing for you as a person, right? But you might not have a family. Maybe this is the right thing for you. I think that with the Black community, we need to work on strengthening the Black community and quit trying to add so many other labels on top of it. Let's just take care of us, right? Our household first, right? You gotta take care of your own house.
Yeah, deal with the core. Yeah.
And then you can help everybody else too, but make sure your stuff is solid.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't subscribe to, oh, I'm a feminist, and so I have to do this, that, and other thing, and whatever that agenda is. I am all for women, all about empowering women. I support a lot of women-owned businesses, but I now support a lot of Black-owned business too. But that's not my ultimate priority. My priority is taking care of these 2 kids.
Right.
These are my kids. Raising these people to be productive members of society. And how do I do that?
The first community, which is the family.
Is my family.
Right.
Right. And then making sure that when they go out into the world, they can think for themselves. They're not just jumping, somebody told me this, and so now this is what I believe. Right. I had a conversation with my daughter yesterday about the whole overturning Roe v. Wade. So what do you think about abortion? Right. This is my 14-year-old.
Right.
Just we hadn't had any conversations about it or anything like that. Just tell me what you think about it.
Right.
Right. And she's like, look, I think that women should be able to choose. I think that, there's certain circumstances where that it is needed. They feel like they need to do that, and they should have the right to do that. Yeah. And people shouldn't tell them that that's wrong to do if that's the right thing for their life. I didn't tell her that that's how I feel. Right. But I didn't have that conversation with her before yesterday.
Because you respected her as her individual thought.
Exactly.
Right.
And so I think that when we take the time to build our family, build our strong foundation, and allow our children to have their own thoughts, right? And not just force our thoughts on them.
Respect those thoughts.
Right? Respect them enough to listen to what they have to say, right? And not just, hey, you should think this way or think that way, or this is what I believe. You can have whatever thoughts you have. And so I personally am not for steering my kids towards one movement or another. It's just about how can we be the best that we can be, right? As I've got a boy and a girl. I got a daughter and a son. I'm not forcing my son to, you gotta treat women a certain way. You gotta do this and do that. Just be a good person. Treat people in general a certain way. Be respectful of all people, women and men, right? And then just that basic, that baseline of doing the right thing all the time, and not so extreme with, I believe this, and so it has to be this way or no way.
Yeah, very, very, very interesting point. And to your question, if there was something to create, to do something different, it definitely takes, learning what didn't work, in the past, but not sticking in the past, not staying, we're having this meeting and we're going to talk about, what went on here, what would happen in the 60s and the 70s and what happened in the 80s. And that, that's great. Let's touch on that. But while we're touching on that, let's 80-20. Let's really put more effort into, the new foundation, the new creation, the new and moving forward. Let's touch on it. Right. But we want to spend the majority of the time, the majority of the thinking, building think tanks, having masterminds, doing master classes. Let's reevaluate the education that we've gotten about ourselves and of our lives and society and whatnot. But let's move forward. Let's touch it. Remember, hey, it's there. It's like the Dinka symbol Sankofa. I reflect on the past, but I'm focused this way. Right.
Because times have changed, right? And things are different. Yeah, it was like that back in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, whatever. Right? It's 2022. Yeah. What are we doing now? Yeah. The world has changed so much. Why are we spending so much time focused on what was going on way back whenever? What's happening today? Yeah. Where are we now? And how can we make it better? How can we move forward and progress?
Yeah. I'm flipping through my notes because that hit what you just said hit another thing of what she talked about. Let me see. I think this is it right here. Nope, that's discussing some statistics that in the 70s and the 90s with women's happiness and as a matter of fact, with being a single mom, has that affected your mental health in a way? Because one of the things that she pointed out was the mental health of women that have dealt with the feminist movement, have been married within the feminist movement, and also being single moms in the feminist movement. And she, pointed out that a lot of women have become, even with their education and their independence, and all of that, earning higher wages. But she talked about how women are in increasing numbers from, living healthy lives, previous, to 1970, but then after 1972, the increase and the increased rapid decline that led into the 90s, and then, into now, the major increase of, women in antidepressants, and, having more suicidal thoughts, committing more acts of bodily self, endangerment, has being a single mom affected your mental health in not so much in extreme, but just in a way that it's like, oh my goodness, this shit is just too much.
So I think that my situation is a little different than most. So I was married for a long time. I was married for 14 years and got divorced, and I was not expecting it. Didn't have backup plan, nothing. And so I had a really, really hard time with that, because now I know I got to do this on my own. My ex-husband and I, we have joint custody. So my situation is slightly different because I get some me time, right? I set my divorce up that way though. I set it up to where I'm not just the only caregiver for these children 24/7 and no time for Kiyaki, right? When I was married, I had a family, I had a partner that could help me out to the best of his ability. But
that's another book we got coming to discuss and review.
For me, my happiness has increased because I do get some me time. I get some time to just relax. If I want to go out of town for a couple of days, I can do that because I know my kids are well taken care of. But I do know, and I know a lot of single moms, I have friends that are single moms that don't have that same luxury, that don't have this because they don't have a partner. They don't get that me time, that self-care time, that just, I need a couple minutes of nobody calling my name. Right. So I feel like with the feminist movement, we've gotten away from, you don't get that you time. You don't get that downtime. And so it does. It makes you upset. It makes you sad and depressed and not able to take care of yourself, to be able to take care of other people. Because you got to go to work. You got stress. These bills, these kids
bills
doing whatever,
things.
All of these things. Maybe wanting a partner and not having time to date. Maybe wanting whatever it is that you want. You want to travel and go places and you can't because you have to figure out, my kids need some shoes. My kids need some new clothes. I got to go to work. I got to do this. I can't just leave. I don't have somebody to take care of my kids. There are a lot of women that are that way because they don't have a partner. They don't have somebody, and with the feminist movement, it's highly encouraged. I don't need a man. I can do this on my own. You can, but why would you want to?
Right. Why would you want to? Now, we're talking about, setting up your life structure, and we're gonna wrap this up.
Yeah.
And
because we could go all night.
Yeah, we know.
You
know how we do. But man, can you do it and set up your life structure and build for yourself that I need this structured here where I'm going to have some me time, or I'm going to do this for myself, or I'm going to have, and I'm going to structure my financial planning, and I'm going to structure this. I'm going to do my time management, because now when you're doing that, you're teaching the kids, how to do it as well, how to overcome the adversities that you're facing as a single parent, So do you really believe that you can do it without a partner, but it's best to be done with a partner?
For me personally, yes. I'm single.
Yeah.
Looking for a partner. Because again, work smarter, not harder. Why do all of this by myself when I could do it with somebody and take some of the load off of me? Right? You can structure your life that way. I say all the time, like, choose happiness, right? Do what makes you happy, but also take care of your responsibilities and take in the emotion out of it. I'm mad, so I'm not gonna let my kids' dad see them. I'm mad, so whatever.
Right.
Okay, it didn't work out. That sucks.
Right.
But you can still have an amicable relationship. You can still partner with this person, right? We don't have to be together.
Yeah.
We can still be a partnership.
Yeah.
We can co-parent and do all those things. And I tell women all the time, listen, you didn't make that baby by yourself. Let your partner help you. This person that help create this baby with you, let them help you, right?
Yeah.
It takes a lot to raise a child, to raise a family, to raise strong individuals. It's harder to do it by yourself. Have a partner. You don't have to be together, but let them help you with that so that you can have a stronger mental health capacity. You know, you can be okay. You're not yelling and cussing and fussing at your kids all the time because you're stressed out.
Right.
So you can set it up that way if you want to.
Thank you guys for tuning in for this part. I believe we might be having a second part. Definitely have a second part to this. This is Thurston and Smith. Man, hey, Jamel Hill. All right, everybody knows it's Coach with a lot to say, aka Uncle Pops with the raw truth for the youth, the definitely grown folks. Hashtag DBWT, don't be wasted talent. And as we wrap it up, hey, if you haven't already, hit us in the DM. We got your book for you. We got your book right here. It's a great collaboration between myself and Thurston. You know, the 50 leadership and management tips for growth and improvement. So get at us in the DM. We'll send you the link for you to get us on the website. And you can also get in touch with Ms. Frederick. How can they get in touch with you and follow you and check out what's going on with Wrapped in Smoke?
I'm on all the social media, Facebook, Instagram, all the things. It's at Wrapped in Smoke. I do brand ambassador for lots of different companies and all of that. Message me. I'll get back with you. Time management. I'm still working on that, but I will get back
after your me time.
Right, after my me time, right?
Yeah.
So when I'm relaxed. And
she might get back to you when she's having a pussy time.
But yeah, thank you guys for having me. This was dope. It was a really dope conversation. Thank you for sharing the book with me because I hadn't heard about it. And so when you shared it with me and I shared it with my girls, single girls, and I said, you guys read this book and let's talk about this. And let me know your view on it. I know how I feel about it, and they know how I am. But just hearing other women and what they think about it, because not all women believe that way.
True. No, that's true.
And so just getting different perspectives and stuff. So thank you again for sharing that with me. I appreciate it.